Hello, happy day. I hope you have had or you have a very wonderful day. This is series number three of our sessions, and we are still in the overarching topic facilitating flexible learning in our K to 12 level. So, pedagogy for flexible learning, our K to 12 experiences. The third series that I will be sharing with you today will be transitioning to flexible learning and full online learning. We can be flexible in this, and what are our possibilities and options? Transitioning is very, very crucial during the shift, no, from our face-to-face traditional or face-to-face blended learning, probably before the pandemic. That we we before the pandemic we were just the classes ran smoothly, no problem. But during the pandemic, there were emergencies and there were sudden lockdowns and closure of schools, and it was a transition that we did not expect. They were all the transitions were in emergencies. So I would say that we can just probably forgive ourselves when many reacted this way, that way, and to leverage technologies. We had to do our share individually, probably, just to ensure that we meet the needs of our learners. The institutions were probably not very ready. Some were very strategic in transitioning, and in the process during the months that follow, many and schools adapted, started to plan and do some changes, revisions, and adapting and adjusting. And I think we experienced all of these. In fact, I also did experience that many had to call and had to help. And the past 7 months or 8 months have been dedicated to helping, assisting, changes here and there. And there were things that we learned really in the process. So, our outline for this session is we have to have probably later on an example of an online module. We started the design the other session, and we'll have examples of those. And we will try to take a look at transition principles, facilitation, and the best practices in flexible learning. So we will take a look at this as we discuss within an hour. Okay, transitioning instead of a blessing. When we transition instead of a blessing, it becomes a curse. Let's be very careful with this. We have to transition with this to be a blessing. So let us plan carefully. Let us take a look at these principles, what others have done, what we have experienced, and let us try to apply some principles that other schools have used. The best way to transition, one of the best ways to transition, if at this level, let's forget about what happened in the past months. We can start again. We can transition. I'm sure the rest of those that we did were emergency activities. Now that we have learned some principles, we can start transitioning into flexible learning, because I'm sure the new normal will really require some flexibility, and flexible learning environments are key or keys to successful teaching and learning. So, how do we transition? In my discussion with our higher education teachers, higher education personnel, I discussed lengthily these areas that we have to consider when we transition in an institutional level. This is strategic because, as an institution, we have to consider the vision, the instructional design, some policies and infrastructure, analytics, quality assurance, strategic campaigns, shared governance, and understanding. Let's focus on this as very important things that we should do in an institutional level. So, since we are working in the academy or in basic education, the high school department, the elementary department, what we can do is we can come together and let's revisit first the vision of our institution and accommodate in our vision statement a flavor of flexibility. So the flexibility concept must be part of our vision. We have to have a statement there in our vision that accommodates the concept flexibility learning or flexibility education. And that is very important. When our vision of the academy or the high school department or the elementary department is adjusted towards or flexible learning, then the rest of the processes within that department or that institution, that school will really just follow smoothly. What we will then do next is we can come together, and since we are all basic education graduates, we have gone through training in pedagogy, andragogy, maybe designs, instructional strategies. Then we can come together and we decide what will be our instructional design. How will classes look like? What will be the design of our module? What will be the design of our lessons? How do we transition from one phase of the lesson to another? So that's very important. We can agree, and then from that we can decide, and then everybody will just adapt to that with some adjustments, some suggestions, and then we can have a prototype. It's so forth and so on. Then we can maybe assign a lead group who can be in charge of creatively designing, experimenting on things so that we can uh, help one another and we can really establish a very, very solid, very useful, flexible, effective instructional design. Let's take a look at our policies. Many reject to go full online because of maybe loading policy, right? Units load in a semester or in a year, the number of subjects we will teach. When we go full online and flexible learning, it's not similar to traditional classroom teaching that we just stand, deliver what's in our head, we memorize the lesson, we go to the chalkboard, right? We have our PowerPoint. We can just have activities. We can just command and then provide instructions to the learners that they do this and do that within a classroom face-to-face mode and setting. However, in the full online or flexible learning, you need some time to prepare. PowerPoint, manipulating gadgets, linking of materials to the internet, to the platform, etc., etc. And this requires time. And we need to probably restructure our policy as regards unit loads, number of preparations, etc. The infrastructure of our offices, our classrooms, all of this, we need to consider what are our needs based on our instructional design. So many would immediately jump into buying technology, buying platforms without considering the infrastructure, the instructional design, the policies. So let's adjust this. We need some data as well. Let's go to analytics. Let's need some data. Data. How many how many students will go online, how many parents are interested, how many classes can we establish? You see, we need some data. What are the responses, both qualitative and quantitative? We need to have surveys. We need to gather information from our stakeholders so that we can decide. So it's very important to have some data gathering, analytics, do a little research. And this will establish quality data so that from there we can decide, we can make decisions properly. Quality assurance, there should be quality assurance. Quality quality assurance mechanism, a toolkit that we can use, we can base as benchmarks of some quality teaching, quality materials, quality module, quality lessons, quality face to face, online, blended. See, we have to quality materials, quality resources. We have to establish some toolkit. And from there, our teachers can develop quality materials, quality instructional tools for our learners. So, quality assurance is necessary. You know what I'm talking about. We are already in the university or in the academy. If we are well versed with quality assurance, our principals, our department heads know what I'm saying. So let's establish that strategic campaigns, once we have set our vision, the mission, the objectives of our institution, that is associated now, leaning now to flexible learning and flexible learning environments. Then we can have strategic campaigns. We can open a website, we can open a Facebook page to inform our stakeholders, our parents, about our direction, our new setup, our new direction, what we have, the materials that we have, our library, our instructional resource center that facilitates flexible learning. So let's establish those, the infrastructure and all, and we share this to our stakeholders. One very important, so campaign, okay? In any technology, mobile phone, cover video, a short video presentation, just to ensure that everybody is given the chance to know what we are actually providing as something new to our stakeholders, to our clients, to our students, to our parents, those who are involved in the teaching learning process. All right. Then shared governance. Create some groups who can be in charge of reviewing, okay, reviewing instructional design, policies, group for analytics, group for quality assurance in the academy. Let's place ourselves in groups and then study and then review and then be in charge of some aspects we just discussed, and then continue to grow, continue to suggest and share this one to everyone. Whatever we agree, we share, and that will be shared governance and shared understanding. This is important in confidence building. This is important, I should say, in confidence building, trust among each other, helping one another, collaboration. And when we achieve this, the transition in an institutional level will be very smooth. Everybody understands where we are going, everybody shares the same idea, everybody understands the process, everybody takes a look at problems, and together we solve. Everyone is oriented with the technology, the infrastructure. If you have a platform, everybody is also given the chance to be trained. Everybody is involved in professional development, continuous training, continuous growth. Well, that is institutional level transitioning, and if we transition that way, everything will be smooth. There are of course glitches along the way, but we have to forgive each other, we have to understand each other, and we have to help one another. And this is one of the best ways that we can do so that we can transition smoothly as an institution. All right, transitioning first. So let's go to some specifics. I just discussed the general approach in an institutional level. Transitioning first, we have to, as I said, our teaching practices and pedagogy. Don't be tempted with technology immediately. We immediately say we adapt a platform. We adapt a platform. I think we experienced this year. Many of us immediately just went, okay, let's go to Schoology, without defining first our teaching practices. Teaching practices. How do we teach? What is our design? How will we deliver? What are the needs of the learners? What are their capacities? Well, we can just do this, we can just do that, and from there begin. Sometimes we immediately dive into the platform and Whoo, it is already a tragedy. Everyone says we do not like this because it's difficult. Because when I will just be teaching this way, see, we want to fit our teaching to the platform when supposed to be that platform will should fit to our design, to how we teach, what we like, what our target. So, and we can grow from what we first have. So let's not transition that way. That immediately we dive into the platform because the platform is very nice. The platform is very this, but we have not analyzed, established yet our pedagogy, our design. Right? So review practices, whatever we have in our normal teaching. Okay, let's start from there. How do I teach this? What are the activities? What are the tools that I will use? And then what will be the technology that I have I have to secure, right? So that I can deliver this flexible learning material. Okay, so we have to review our curriculum guides. Let's go to the mail. Let's go to the competencies and possible activities. See, this requires careful planning and careful analysis. And when we shall have reviewed all the curriculum guides for each of the subjects, and I say, teachers, what do you need? How do we teach together? What is the platform probably that can fit? Maybe that's why many said they went immediately to Schoology or Moodle, and then only to find out they say, okay, I'll go back to Google Classroom. And when they went to Google Classroom, I have very limited, etc., etc. So they hop from one platform to another without first understanding, without first carefully taking a look at their lesson design, instructional design, and the competences that they would like to cover within the framework of the curriculum guide. So they keep shifting. And during this year, what happened? During this year, what happened? Students will say, I cannot access this, I cannot access that. Teachers also have difficulty and they keep transferring from one platform to another. And that uh, probably was a bit messy. As I said earlier, let's just forgive one another. That was our experimental stage because we were on emergency. But at this time that we already feel the landscape of the new normal and flexible learning environments, then we can transition smoothly. And I hope these things are useful. These approaches are useful. All right. This is biblical, right? When you say, I praise you, I sighed because I remember how we struggled for the past 8 months. Teachers hopping from one place to another, and it's tiresome, it's stressful, it has been stressful. And we pity ourselves, our teachers, late not until the years of the morning, years of the night, and then they just feel exhausted because of these adjustments. So one that we can really leverage is the planning approach. The planning approach, and I think this is biblical. We should look at this. Bible said, "I praise you, O Lord." David said, "For I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Wonderfully made. You cannot make something wonderful without planning. God is our example of planning and organization and understanding the prototypes. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are the works of God. My soul knows it very well. David understood that he was born, he was created with a wonderful work of God because God planned for his life, planned for his existence, planned for his success, God planned for him. And he said, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If we do that in our planning, if we do that in our classes, see, we wonderfully make the design. We wonderfully design, okay, design our lesson and what we need, what our targets, what the materials will be, the technology, the rest will just come smoothly. And everyone will enjoy teaching and learning. See, the Bible says, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. If this is how we started during the pandemic, when there was pandemic, I just reflected, if we just reflected much on this and we said, for I know the plans I have for you, the teacher could have, I know how I can plan for the lesson. I know how, if we can apply this principle, no? If we could have, if we just apply these principles at the start, then I think um, we were careful in delivering and we reduced some stress. And God has already placed this principle in the Bible. Plans, clear plans. I know the plans are high for the teacher knows best how the learning will take place because he has some training in pedagogy. He has some training in instructional design. He has some training, at least 60 units in teaching and learning. Knows the plans, how to encourage, how to facilitate learning. There is a class in teacher education, facilitating learning. The teacher knows that. So the plans should be clear and well guided. Hope, hope, okay? Prosper you and not to harm you. Our lessons, our teaching and learning should not harm our young people, should not create in them anger, frustration, because we did not clearly plan. Bible says hope, well-guided future. There's an assurance of success. So every time they receive the module, there should be assurance of success. There should be hope. There should be success. There should be happiness receiving it because it's carefully planned, carefully studied by the teacher, designed by the teacher with all the necessary materials and tools, technology accessible by all the learners. And I think this is really biblical. The planning. Good online teaching methods begin, according to Flynn, one of our experts in distance learning. Good online teaching methods begin with good teaching methods. If our teaching methods are good, we shift to online, we shift to blended learning. If our good teaching methods are really, if our teaching methods are good, then our online teaching will also be good. Most of the time, what works in the face to face, he said, will work online or by hybrid settings. Therefore, he said, teachers should plan lessons the way they normally would for face-to-face learning. We smile, we encourage, we show care, we plan carefully, etc., etc. Those things I discussed earlier, just how we do it naturally. Of course, the difference is we have technology, we have to manipulate, and we need some training in the manipulation of technology, the linking, the designing, the plugging in of all the information inside the machine. And that's a little tedious, but the same, similar, if not the same. So we can come together as a group in the academy or in the high school department or in groups, and we can employ design thinking, the design thinking approach. Let's leverage this. Let's maximize the potential of this in solving some problems, in solving some problems and creating something of our own that we can base all our practices on. Okay, like we come together and there's a problem and we say let's empathize. Empathize means let's understand the problem, let's understand what we have, let's define the parameters of what we can just do. Let's sit together, right? And let's ideate. Let's ideate. What will be our ideal design? What will be our ideal model lesson? What will be our prototype lesson? So let's start from there. Let's ask everyone, what do you have? What do you have? Let's empathize. How can I help you? How can we put this all together and let's make one shared understanding of an ideal lesson and what are the materials that we use, and let's make a prototype. Let's make an example. We did this in Central Philippines. Now we are employing, after we studied carefully the various designs, we said, okay, let's employ dimensions of learning. All right, let's employ dimensions of learning, and then we can let's have a prototype lesson, a module that we can send to our students in their homes, and let's see if this will work. So we had some try out, and we sent this prototype and we tested. And later on, parents did not have complaints. They understood the module. They have the sequence of the modules, and the design was there. And when the design was there, okay, we started making the modules. Okay, so that's it. We came together and we employed design thinking. So come together as a group in the academy or in the elementary level, and then if you are in a school, if you are in the basic education, in any academy you are in, come together, okay, and decide. Listen to everyone, empathize. What are their needs? Then define the problem, and then ideate what will be an ideal concept for a design, and then how we teach, how students learn, and then make a prototype, and then you test that prototype, and then once that's tested, revised, improved, then you implement. I think when this is done collaboratively, we will be successful. Okay? So I will transition now. Give me a break for a while. I'll give you a sample of an online module that we created in one mission in Mindanao. And this is an example of an online module. And this is coming from a design we discussed earlier, that is dimensions of learning. I will direct you to the flow, and the online module is coming from a face-to-face print. A printed module can also be used transferred in an online. So this printed module is given to the learners who can access only through print, but there is an online version, but the structure is the same. So I will shift now. Give me a little break. Okay, so this is an example of a math. They have adapted Moodle. So when we look at this, you will see that a student will go inside this classroom, and this is a grade one. Okay, and when lesson one is here, this is coming from a grade one teacher, and I asked permission that, so the materials are here, the materials are linked, and here is a printed copy, a printed version of the module, right? The printed version of the module. So if you will open this, here is a print version of the module. Okay, so the print version of the module just says reap. I discussed yesterday, and then here's an IFL at the beginning, and when you scroll down, you will notice that this is counting numbers from one. Refresh. This is dimension one. Dimension one, perceptions, developing attitudes and perceptions on learning. Remember, this is motivation. So here's a brief introduction. Okay, brief introduction, and here's a prayer, and after that prayer, time with Jesus, because we have to integrate faith and learning. Then the student must know the most essential learning competency. By the end of the week, you will be expected to visualize and represent numbers from 1 to 100. Then enabling competencies. These are the competencies that will be learned by the learners initially, so that they can perform the most essential competency. So that's how we design it. Then at the beginning of the lesson, at the beginning of the module, the mind of the child is prepared already of what to expect, because the learning targets are here, most essential learning competency, the enabling competencies are there, and performance task is already provided information in advance so that the mind is set already that the performance task will be toy counting. And here's a section and integration of faith and learning. Then after that side, that is already the that side here is refresh and reflect. This is already the section dimension 1. Okay, then dimension 2, explore and engage. This is acquiring and integrating knowledge. This is new lesson. This is the new lesson since the first. So the new lesson just needs to cover the objectives or the enabling competencies. So what's the first enabling competency? Identify numbers from 1 to 10. So the first to be covered is identifying numbers from 1 to 10 after a very short anticipatory set here at the beginning. And then the lesson there, content is there. We have activities there that follows or that follow. Then another coverage, order the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so that's another activity there. And try out. Okay, and another is visualize. So this is the third. Okay, visual, the third enabling competency. We will just go back, look at this. Okay, the first is identify, order, visualize. So cover this, cover that, cover, visualize. Okay, so first we have order, identifying, and later the coverage for ordering. The concepts are here, the examples are here, students follow. Just designing what they needed for this lesson, not so complicated, just to meet the needs of the grade 1 student. Visualize and count numbers from 1 to 10. This is another coverage based on the enabling competencies to achieve the most essential competencies, the activities. And here's the generalization of the lesson after the lesson proper, and then you go to IFL. Then their students will be applying and assimilating knowledge. This is dimension 3. What is dimension 3? Extending and refining knowledge. More practice, more practice, more practice, more rehearsal, more application, extending and refining knowledge. So the activities are given for the learners after acquiring and integrating knowledge. And after that, perform and produce. This is now using knowledge meaningfully. And here's the performance task here that is given by the task that is required for every learner to perform. And in the rubrics, okay, the rubrics set here, some reference at the bottom, and the lesson ends. And there's a weekly test that you provided. Okay, so the pupil's name is placed, others. So this is the material that they thought would fit, okay, the needs of the learner during the pandemic for grade 1, at least for this lesson. Okay, let's go back to how is that transformed into the machine. So since this is Moodle, they transform it into the machine. So here are the activities that were linked, activities that can be linked. So these are the things that so in the machine, it looks like this. Okay, in the machine, it looks like this. It's the same lesson. Here is the menu because this we found that Moodle would accommodate these areas here. So here's a lesson menu at the side. Refresh, explore and engage, apply and assimilate. Just similar to what we saw in the print matter. See, similar. If this is applied in the face-to-face classroom, it's also just similar. The change is here when the learner gets into the machine, he or she can access this material without the print. So if refresh, what's refresh? It's there, and since they need to end, so you can insert a video. See, here's a video presentation here, and we can just click. Okay, so inside, here's a video. Okay, all right. right? So you can. So what is nice about here online, because you can insert a video and you can insert some links. All right. So same, rewriting all of these in the page. Okay, and you can go to explore. You can go to the next page, go to the next part of the lesson, or you can go to this side, explore and engage. All right. So there you are. You have the material just the same. Here's, since you cannot do this in print, but you can do this, adjust, flexible enough to adjust the material, and you can have an insertion here. So this is the thing, because we have to adjust in the online because there are materials that we can use. So you can insert. Okay. All right. So counting can be done there instead of placing. So the motivation, okay, the anticipatory set differed in the print and in the online version because you can insert, adjust to the learner's needs. Okay. Then counting, and here this is linked to the test. For example, test, a material that is the test material, and then when the learner clicks, see, the learner can just take a quiz and how many cats are there in the box, just select, okay, and then just go to the next page, so forth and so on. So it's easy for the learner to just complete the test. Okay. Okay, I'll go back. So then go back to the page and continue. Click here to go to another link. So you can just link the material that you need, enough for the grader to complete the task. So after completing all these tasks, just click answer, just click answer. You can just do the linking and then go to the next page, which is apply. Okay, the apply page is there. You can insert videos. So the teacher here just inserted, just accommodated, just being flexible to what is available there, but useful to learning, which is not found also in the print material. So here you have to click, 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 click all, and this will be just uh, for the student, and the student will just answer those inside the machine. And then in the performance task, the learner needs to just follow the rubrics, perform, and here are instructions. He said, take a video of your performance and send through Facebook Messenger or Gmail account, and the teacher's account is given. And then the student, after completing the performance task, just, so here are options that to be flexible. The video can be through Facebook Messenger or through Google Gmail account. So you see, we are just giving an example of a little flexibility, a little adjustment. And this is how also we implemented the dimensions of learning model, the design that I shared with you last time. Okay, so that is an example. I will shift now to, okay. So that is an example of the material that I was referring to the other time. Okay. So we we started discussing, we departed from design thinking because we gave an example that if you can develop a design, okay, you can develop a design, you can try the design, you can try your design um, within the framework of, within the framework of your decided instruction, and then you can continue with you can continue with distributing. Okay, you can continue distributing your your module, okay, your lessons uh, to your students. Okay, let's continue our discussion now, right? I will make a little adjustment of my print so that I can wonder why this is just just a moment, because I shifted from one one page to another, so I have to adjust the material. Okay, just a moment, just give me a moment, since I shifted to another page. Just adjusting a bit. Okay. All right. All right. Let's continue. All right. So we are in the transitioning period. We have to understand personalized learning. Personalized learning, in our transitioning, we have to understand what personalized learning is. It's tailoring the experience to an individual's needs um, and desires. So you match the mode of learning to the learning style of your participant. So don't forget, that is the concept: personalized learning. Flexible learning. What is flexible learning? When we say flexible learning, we are saying it's similar to personalized learning, but the greater focus on flexible learning is in the materials adapted to the individual's progress. So when we say flexible learning, we are more interested in the development of the materials that can be adjusted to the learner's needs. But when you say personalized learning, if you'll go back to personalized learning, we understand the style of the learning of the learner. Okay, style of learning: auditory, kinesthetic, something like that. No, logical. So if that is the learning style, then we have to tailor the experience. When we say flexible learning, we are interested in the materials, okay, in response to the various needs of the students, regardless of what their learning styles are. So that is a little difference when we say flexible learning and personalized learning. Transitioning, still in the transitioning. First, say it's teaching practices and pedagogy. The most important thing is the instruction and the connection that we have with the learners. Okay, we have limited amounts of time, we have important things to cover, we have to be mindful of our learners. Okay, mindful of our learners, that we understand their struggles, we understand their fears. At this time, we have limited amounts of time, remember? So we can adjust during this year. Important things to cover, we just have limited amounts of time, and we have to adjust them. That's why the Department of Education condensed, okay, reduced the milk most essential learning competency, because they are mindful of the needs of the learners. And I think in the new normal, if the virus will still be around, if the pandemic still continues the next year, we still have to be mindful of the little amounts of time that students will 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 use, amount of time that they can use in their very, very limited capacities at home. So the important things to cover, let's just adjust that. And it's part of transitioning. Of course, if we will be full flexible learning when no more pandemic and we still into flexible, some online, some hybrid, of course, we can adjust also time. We can adjust the important things to cover. And when we have to be mindful, because we are still in the transitioning time. When students transition from face to face to online, they have some fears, they have some struggles, and we have to be mindful of our learners. Okay, first, still in that area there, when we transition, don't forget the usual routines that you have in the face to face. The usual routines are these routines that you will use to connect with the learners. Connect with the learners with the usual routine. Do not shift. Do not shift immediately, like new experience, new activity, new routine that you have to employ. No, you start from what is familiar routine. So if you have a routine that there is devotional at the start of the of the lesson, then do that. That's why in our modules, if you notice, in the modules that I shared a while ago, the devotional is there. The word devotional was there. The word devotional is there. Why? Because this is the familiar. This is the familiar word that learners hear every day. Before we begin our class, let's have our short devotional. See, so when they receive the module in their hands, and when they see the module online, you see devotional, and the teacher says, okay, let's do the devotional. And see, the student, even alone, even by himself, has the devotional, because that's a routine. The prayer is our routine. Okay, the prayer is the routine. So if there are short meetings in the morning that you hold, do that. So open Zoom, and then do that, because that's the normal routine. And from there you can add little routines you can insert until finally our students will be familiar. It's okay, different space, but familiar routine. Short meetings you have, and then leave them alone by themselves. At least you can be creative, and then you and introducing new ways that they will be independent by themselves. Do not leave right away the learners in the transitioning part. Do not leave them. So open your video, open your messenger, and then hold the regular sessions. If you have social activities, hold them regularly, even in Zoom. Okay, even in Zoom, so that the students will still feel the idea of school, and it will not be totally different. Use live time. Okay, use live time to engage the learners. Use live time, open a live time. And what is this for? To clarify expectation. Tell them these are the expectations. Tomorrow will be this, tomorrow will be that, the lesson will be this, and these are the expectation. Of course, you also have to provide familiar engagement activities, independent work, group, good homework activities. But it should not always be uh, paper and pencil. I have observed in the modules now that students are doing always paper, pencil, always answering. That keeps them that gives them the idea it's too tired, it's boring. So have variety of activities that are familiar within the house, within the learning environment where the learner is, maybe at home. So imagine activities that they can do related to the lesson that they can just do at home as an alternative to writing, answering, and the whole day doing that. Ooh, they will say this is not what I like. So games, okay, something they can do with family members. Be creative, but not always paper and pencil. Independent work, yes, but they are familiar to them, and that will engage them. Of course, they should be connected to the lesson. Some projects, things that they can do creatively that they will be happy with their friends. They can hold chat meetings, okay? They can hold Zoom meetings or Google Meet, you see? But you can adjust just to be creative, just to break the monotone of paper pencil. Okay, in an online learning environment, the teacher will probably will say what a week looks like, what's happening live versus asynchronous. So in our online learning environment, we have to set guidelines. Okay, I will emphasize here guidelines. We have to set guidelines in an online learning environment. The teacher has to design what will happen this week. How will the day look like? The day will look like this. This will be for the week. Okay, and give that page to the learner. Okay, give that page to the learner. What will happen in live? So if they are going live, place guidelines, checklist, a bulleted list. Okay, if we are online, if we are in Zoom, these are our guidelines. Very short ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that they have to follow so that the learning environment will not be messy. If it's asynchronous, then you also have to set guidelines. So here are guidelines for live, here are guidelines for asynchronous. These are the things that you will do, and this week this will be the thing that you will do. And where can you just deliver that? If you have email, you can just Google Docs or Google Drive, in whatever form that they can reach this material. Please do, please develop, and all of you teachers will agree how that is collaborative. If there are commonalities, but if there are individual guidelines for a class, set that so that the students will not be lost. Very important. Guidelines are important. Scheduling also include in your guidelines, aside from how the week will look like, how the day will look like, what will happen live or what will happen in asynchronous. Consider scheduling. What are the schedules? Okay, the schedule is this, the schedule is that. Plan ahead for 1 month, for 1 week. Scheduling. And the technology, when will they use the technology? At this time, they will have Zoom. At this time, you will have Google Meet, for example. At this time, you will have chat. When to use those? Okay? If you have fewer platforms, less confusion. Some teachers would like to be very creative. Lahat ng mga technology gagamitin. Parang lahat ng mga estudyante talagang marunong. No, that's not the point. Look at your design. Look at the efficient and effective learning, and see if one platform can accommodate that. So when that platform can accommodate, then hold on to that so that students will not keep on going this way, going that way, and there is confusion. So less confusion, especially that we are still transitioning. Fewer tech, but accommodating. Easy ones, but accommodating what maximum learning can take place in the module. Okay. Guidelines. Okay. And the teacher shareable plan. Okay. The easiest way to share the plan will be, as I said earlier, Google Doc, slideshow, or you can open this guideline in your Google Drive folder. So just find a way students can access the guidelines you have. This is important, guidelines. Okay, number two, for transitioning that we are considering from Flynn, contingency planning. You have IT folks, you have information technology folks. They have knowledge on platforms. So the common technology problems we have is connectivity, microphones. I don't have a microphone. I don't know how to manipulate this. Locating particular features in the platform. So what the IT people can do is, you make a table, and put a column there, troubleshooting column. And if this is the problem, this is how you will do it. If this is the problem, this is how the teacher can do this. These are the commands. This will be, so you can make a video, or you can make just a very easy table that easy to use just beside the teacher. When the teacher has problems with the platform, the teacher can just go to that and then, ito pala ang command. This is the command. So the IT folks should provide a very good tech support, and you will eliminate the always calling, sir, please help me. Be proactive in advance. The IT personnel, okay, this is our platform. This is what you will use, because we have agreed that we will use this based on our instructional design, based on what we need. And then, okay, if you have trouble with this, if you don't know where to find this, with this feature in the platform, okay, though these are the commands. So it's proactive, it's planning. What are our technologies? Okay, a part of the contingency planning, you have a CMS, you have a courseware, okay, you have an M-learning. You see, we have delivery, in fact, through mobile device. We have virtual learning environments. You know that. So these are our technologies. In the virtual learning environment, we have portals providing access to learning support, course information. There are also technologies that accommodate forums, messaging, announcements, where you can place your content, lecture notes, and assessment. In the learning environment, you can choose if these things are part of your instruction, okay, plans, instructional design. You find a virtual learning environment where they can be accommodated, and you get some training, seek some help from the IT people, and you will be there. What are immersive technologies? We have also immersive learning environments. Like there are models which has typically 3D, good for simulation, virtual world. If you need this and your teachers need this in science, you talk to your IT personnel, then they will help you out. In fact, there is gamification. You know this gamification, I'm sure. The use of game techniques. And these are for motivation, these are for engagement. Sudoku, for example, they can be inserted in an online. Okay, there are some, there are plugins that you can add maybe to Moodle or any platform, but you can use this one. You can use the quizzes, okay, the quizzes, your multiple choice in a game, okay, approach, and this motivates the the learner. So there are plugins. You just have to find them and then integrate in your platform if you need them. If that is the approach that you have planned in your instructional design. So talk to your IT personnel. And once you find this very useful, very engaging, like gamification and the use of games, accommodating your activities in the class. So there are some games or technology that your multiple choice is placed in a game, right? So very nice. So once they answer the game, it's just game but taking the test. Very nice. I think we introduced that in some of our Moodle platforms. We inserted some um, plugins, associated with those types. So when we are transitioning, our assessment also is a problem. So how will assessment look like? Test, there is cheating, okay? Especially when it's distance learning. Remember that our focus this time is continuation of teaching and learning. But our assessment should be directed to formative assessment. So our formative lens must be enlarged this time. Okay, must be enlarged and provide formative assessment. The focus now, if it's distance, particularly during the pandemic, is that students will be learning, that students will continue learning. So design learning activities that they will enjoy without being conscious of testing, grading. And I think the Department of Education collapsed, okay, that examination, DepEd Order 31, I suppose, 2020. They said no examination. I'm sure other schools have examinations for collection of fees, but you can make adjustments and your assessments will be on formative assessment. I'm sure there's one who will discuss formative assessment and others. So you can seek help from those who are in education department. Assessment, okay? Resource disparities within a class. Okay, the rule of thumb, design the materials based on the lowest level of access. Lowest level of access. So if is we can access only through packets of materials, go. If some can go online or by phone, you can have auditory experience. Okay, you can still lecture through the auditory. So you can open that auditory no face to no video, but they can still listen to the voice of the teacher, or you can record your lessons. The voice of the teacher will be there, and then they can still be reached. The easy they can be reached by the learner. So just adjust, just be flexible. So we have resource disparities within the class. Okay, there are teachers and parents who say we are very tired, particularly the parents. We are tired, we are confused. So, how do you do that? Sometimes they will feel very confused because our modules are very long. We just copied and pasted. We have not adjusted the content to those which are just what we want to cover. Copy paste, and read. And you say, parents, you teach. And we send so many long letters, reminders, etc. If we are really interested in less confusion, piece of advice, you can provide a bulleted list, maybe an email once in a week. A checklist is saves time. These are the things that we can do. Okay, if you want to remind the parents, don't be extraneous in your text. In the letter, you can have a bulleted list so that it will be easy for the parents to understand. Very simple words. Okay, in your letter you put instruction there, you put instructions there, or reminders for the parents, some reminders, some information. Bullet them. Okay, if they are very long, extraneous, and then they are in narrative form, oh, they will probably be, and they are given every other day. No, once in a week is okay. One in a week, right? Email, give a checklist, and that's enough. They will appreciate that if they are very e- easy to read. Now, facilitation. Let's go. So that's transitioning now. Okay. Okay, transitioning. What if we are already in the facilitating? Okay. So the key to dynamic, hybrid, or online learning is effective facilitation. So run the class. How do you do that? How do you facilitate learning? How do you facilitate discussion? How do you facilitate? You already have the plan. You already have the module, the lesson guide already given to the student, and they're already in the environment. If they are already in the platform or CMS or LMS, then, if they are there online, run the class as you normally would. So, in your Zoom, eye to eye contact, eye to eye, smile, look at the camera and smile, okay, and design your class to be highly interactive. So, highly interactive. Do not monopolize the lecturing and all. Have collaborative learning inside. Okay, facilitate that, and you smile, and you smile as often as you like, so that the students, the learners, will feel your presence and your love. Okay, online but does feel like it is really like in the face to face. I'm sorry, online, but must feel like it is face to face. Okay, online, but must feel it is face to face. Okay, access. They should have access to tools and resources. So it's important that to facilitate learning, effective facilitation, it's online, for example, must feel like it's in the face to face. What prevents us from reaching is it's just virtual. Can't touch, but you can hear. Okay, you can smile, and you can access materials. So direct the students to very easy to access materials. Another principle is familiarity and flexibility. Okay, the principle is those that they are familiar with, flexibility. Okay, and we need training and support for our teachers and students. So if you want them to be familiar with some technology, be flexible enough to give support to teachers, to students, train them, provide them a video, okay, tutorial, so that they will be able to catch up with the tasks. Here is one practice by Caruso. Because they have realized that preparation for online and facilitating is really a challenge, there are two adults assigned in a class. One is the facilitator of learning during the class period. If it's synchronous, one is facilitating how to communicate, how to facilitate learning, how to access, how to keep track of the progress of the learners. That's all. But here is one content expert that everyone can email. So it's just an email away and he will respond to content issues. I don't understand this, sir. What is this concept about? So that person will just be the content expert to respond to both the teacher and probably behind the corner, the teacher, behind the screen, also behind the screen, the learner will ask. So that person can be accessed always. So in a class, there are two. Okay, so this is probably an adjustment in our policy. How many number of units, how many who will teach the class. So you can adjust that way. Be flexible. Participation. How do you seek participation? Choose authentic and relevant materials. We can choose authentic, and that's very clear. Provide multiple ways to participate. Discussion forums. There's a combination of audio, text, and video. You can seek participation from your learners. Of course, you have to set norms and expectations, and you have, okay, and set norms and expectations. As I said earlier, the rules of the game. So when we are in online, when we are in Zoom, when we are in Google Meet, or in any platform, in any mode, okay, these are the norms. Short, bulleted, and you post comments. Okay, posting comments and big comment on the chat section in the discussion forum. I have seen the teacher in one. I was asked to observe one online teaching in one of the platforms. I was given an account and I said, please observe. And when I observed him, I found that he just gave requirements there, just gave things to do, and did not even care to visit the posts and then commented on the postings of the learner. So careful. Immediately when the learner, if you have to really budget time. If the learner has already posted, you watch, respond. Okay, respond as best as you can. Immediate response, immediate feedback, and when so the teacher's presence is important. Okay, so you do that so that the learner will be engaged. The teacher is around. You see, if it's asynchronous, the teacher will not be around face to face. So if you see in your email, maybe email. You are sent an email, or the response, the learner has already responded, or you are already in that platform. Respond. Okay, don't wait for another day to respond to some postings. Using video conferencing for whole class, small groups, so use video conferencing. You will seek more participation. And you hold office hours, and it's a slot for one-to-one. Open slot, office hour, and you will address one-to-one questions, guidance, and you will really seek participation because one-on-one you would like to share time with the learners. And of course in Zoom you can establish breakout sessions, right? You can have breakout sessions in Zoom and other platforms. And also you have to plan for checking in with students individually. Okay, plan for checking in with students individually. To seek more participation at the end of every lesson, okay, or at the end of every lesson, you can have an interest survey. What will come next? What do you like next? What do you like that we should do? Okay, you can use the Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, Jot Forms, SurveyMonkey. Some of these that you can use so that you can develop a survey, what their needs are, what their interests are, and you can address some of those needs. In a class discussion, for more participation, you post your question or comment in the chat space. So you can do that in Google Meet, easy in Zoom. All right. Post your question in the question and answer portion. Okay, some will say. And then the chat space will be some of your reflections. But all questions, you can make a rule, right? Okay. And so that it will not be messy, you can probably assign one person to be the discussion leader, one of the students, and when he sees something in the Q&A section of the page, of the platform. We'll say, okay, here's a question. Let's listen. Let's give the time to what person. That if you will allow the person to say out loud and read his question posted in the Q&A. But if you don't allow also, you will have a rule. Only the discussion leader will share that to the teacher or whoever, if that question is to be addressed by everyone. Okay, and keep comments in the chat board or in the discuss question and answer area relevant and respectful. That's very important. We show respect, we show relevance of our comments in the chat board or in the Q&A section. If you want to increase participation and class discussion, especially if we are in the breakout session, you can require all your learners to be hooked to Google Doc. Google Doc. I think you know that in the Google Doc, we will have simultaneous together we can write in the page. So if there's a breakout session, require that group to be in one Google Doc, okay, Google document, and then they place their, you can have a title there, no, and the teacher can place the rules of the breakout session there, how to facilitate. They can place inside the page, all right, the title of the discussion, what they will discuss, and everybody is hooked to this page, and everybody can write. This is a way of catching, note catcher. This is a way of catching what is discussed in the breakout session. So you want all the students to place inside these notes, okay, what they discuss, the ideas of everyone. So this is the idea of that person. This, you can write your name, Abordo, and then these are his ideas, and until finally they will decide what their ideas are. Okay, so they have a note catcher there. So note catcher, and when you put some rules there, okay, put some rules there. How to discuss? We say think, pair, share, or see, think, wonder, or you can say, what do you know? KWL, KW, what do you know? What do you want to know? What have you learned? What are your questions? What are answers to the questions? KWLQA. All right? Okay. And you see what students write in that page. So when they write, you see what students write their page and insert your comments. Insert your comments there. So you can visit from one breakout session to another, and because you are the host, back. And there's a note catcher through Google Doc. Everyone will go there, and you are also having access to that, and you can trace their discussion, and they can submit their discussion to you, and see note catcher, just to ensure that there is class discussion, there is output, and you can also monitor what they write in that note catcher. That's a very nice practice, very neat idea that you can use. Okay, you can, in that note catcher in breakout session, you can insert a graphic. Okay, you can symbolize the directions that you want your students to follow. You can insert a video link also there, right? You can do many things in Google Doc. You can keep time there. Okay, you can keep time. You can offer feedback, and you can even place your rubrics there, the quality criteria of this discussion, this interaction, and the quality criteria we are reminded to be very short, just short, so that they will be guided about uh, the quality discussion output they're expected to share. Okay, note catcher. Right? In that note catcher, we can also provide pre-assessment. By the way, not note catcher. If you want discussion, for example, Zoom or Google Meet, before the discussion, you can provide pre-assignments through Google Slides. Okay? Google Slides, pre-assignments. Okay? Some advanced organizers to encourage, so that encourage learners to participate in the discussion that will follow soon. So review slides for prior to the class, and inside these slides you encourage students to share video, right? So before they come to the class, the Zoom class, for example, live Zoom, okay, There was already probably a slide, a pre-assignment through Google Slides shared through the email the other time, through that mail. And then they can insert pictures there. They can insert videos related to the topic that you will discuss the next day. Okay? And it will be interesting discussion. You can place pictures there. You can insert text. You can insert videos. Have you gone through voice thread? You can also explore this. I have explored this. I have started to explore voice thread. You can make a lecture there, and the students can uh, can can share their comments through the voice, and they can record, and it will just be a thread, and you can hear what students say about your lecture, and that's very nice. Explore this one. Okay, and the third one for participation is simple end of the lesson feedback. After the lesson, as I said earlier, you can have a small sheet, you can have a form, Google form or what. Then they will have to say, what have you learned? What is your feedback? How can we improve these lessons some more? And you can facilitate more participation, or you can solicit, okay? You can encourage, I should say, more participation from your learners. Now, let's end our discussion by taking a look at some very nice practices for flexible learning. Connect to families. It's important if we are really into flexible learning, and we are already have already adjusted our vision, our policies, and our instruction, our design, and infrastructure. Then we can connect to the families. Multiple ways to check with you. Access technology, the enrichment activities that you do. Connect to families. All the things that you want to share. So adjust to the needs of your families, of the families of your students, and they will appreciate that, especially that if you show appreciation for to the family, show appreciation to them, okay, that they are connected with you, that they are cooperating with you, and be connected with the family, show appreciation, and I think they will really also appreciate that. Maximize personalized touch points, personal messages, sticky notes, important. No mindless worksheets, okay. Maximize personalized touch points. Students need them. Personal touch of the teacher. Okay? The power of using students' name. If you are in online, okay, online, if you are there, use the name of the student. If you are talking to the student via phone, via Zoom, Google Meet, or other platforms, smile as often. Add a sparkle to your voice. Okay, ramp up your gestures and movements. There's a bit more animation in the delivery, okay, inside the machine, so that students will say there's a very passionate teacher, very loving teacher, very concerned about our learning, active, passionate, engaged. All right, engaged. Feedback system, timely. So in your feedback system, to students and also to the parents, it should be timely, it must be meaningful. You can have Google Docs, as I said earlier. You can textualize your feedback, your tone, the facial expression, especially if you're in online, no online, and you're facing everybody. There's the video there. Contextualize your feedback to facial expression, the tone of your voice, your words. Show that you really care. That's part of feedback system. Feedback system without care, love, and understanding, timeliness, and relevance, they are meaningless. Here's one experience from Khan Academy. I think you have read this one also. Just review some of them. Communication to our stakeholders, I should say. Develop really a communication strategy. Feedback channels, very important. Why do we communicate? We, in all our activities in the transitioning period and establishing flexible learning environment, clear messages, transparency, they must be explicit, quick response, and of course, we communicate our success, celebration of success. Engage with the family engagement, connect with the family, understand the home learning environment, and provide parents access to the learning resource so that you will have collaborative efforts. Bible says, Galatians 6, to share each other's burdens, and in this way you obey the law of God. Sharing is obedience to the law of love. Sharing together, understanding, understanding everyone, students, parents, our co-teachers, helping one another. This is fulfillment, obedience to God's law of love. Okay, so I'll remind everyone, without this, we will never succeed. Family engagement, support during emergency. Okay, during emergencies, provide support. Okay, relate with community organizations who can provide food. Maybe some children do not have food anymore. Maybe they need to access the bank so that they can pay for the tuition and all. Relate to banks that they will be entertained because they are your students. So connect with these community organizations, childcare facilities. If they have problems, if they're depressed, if there are medical doctors around, connect with them, and they are connected to your school, that when your students need help, they can just go there with your reference. See, that is the family engagement we would like to provide. Provide support. And this is very important. Digital access, you know that access of everyone. Okay, one-on-one device, the reliability of our internet, and I think the school has to provide such. And digital tools for the teacher effectiveness. So we have to provide teachers with the tools that they need according to the design. Okay, the design, okay, that we have established. Very important. So leverage. In fact, you have to leverage practical tips. You have to leverage mobile applications, messages. Okay, to communicate your lessons, to send your assignment, to send your assignments. Okay, memos, for example. And but I said short, clear, very powerful approach. Okay, printed. Okay, printed ones. In fact, explore grants and discounts. Okay, if ever there are people needing some gadgets, and if you are already connected with local stores, etc., you can have discounts from companies, hotspots, so that you can provide access and you can communicate with all of this, just to ensure that there is digital access. Working with local governments for hotspots. I think local government for hotspots. You can talk to one in charge in local government. And in fact, when I bought my computer, I was helped by a school because the school is connected to a company, and I think I have saved a lot because we have those connections. And great access is 24/7 technical support. This is very important when we are shifting to online. 24/7 technical support. Enhancing your existing Wi-Fi. You have to provide zones. Okay, zones. Okay, the zones provide additional digital tools to enhance remote learning. So you can connect with your IT people, can strategize how to really maximize or how to really increase digital access. Fourth, very important now, is professional development. Okay, what is good teaching? Okay, you have to remap teacher skills. This is remapping. When we transition to online learning or blended learning or flexible learning, we are remapping, okay, the teacher skills. Of course, we are remapping also our pedagogy, all right? We are remapping our motivational strategies. And this is what we call skills mapping. I'm sure there are teachers who are traditional teachers, of course. They are still we are all traditional teachers. We were traditional teachers and we are probably still. No social media. Some of them, they don't even know how to use the platforms. Some traditional. Only know textbook, come to the class, and then preach or teach. But there are also tech savvy among us. Tech savvy with the time to explore technology, but maybe they don't have the pedagogy or the andragogy. There are also teachers who are newbie, okay, but they are resourceful and can explore. So we have to we have to do skills mapping, and we have to develop everyone, help one another, share each other's burden. Whatever you have, you share. Whatever skills you have, you share. Don't Don't be selfish. Share, help one another, collaborate, agree with each other, and then we will all be successful. Let's summarize our discussion now. We transition carefully. Yes, we transition carefully by learning, by considering principles of design and use of technology. All right? Okay? By learning, okay, by considering principles of design and use of technology, we transition with that. Okay, we can do that in an institutional level first, and then towards individual level, departmental level, and then together we will do this. Okay, learning technology, principles of design, and professional development training, mastering of skills also key to transitioning. And of course, those facilitation come within that framework. And it's okay to commit mistakes. It's okay to commit mistakes. Forgive. Very important. Forgive, but let's continue learning. And the key is collaboration with God and collaboration with others, working together with others. Let's build each other. Let's build our basic education department. Let's work together to achieve these goals. And the promise of the Lord is, my God, your God, our God will supply all our needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus. God bless everyone. I hope that we have learned something from our discussion today, and we keep the faith that by God's grace, God will supply all our needs, and we can face all these challenges with God with confidence, and we can truly say that we have loved our students, we have served them, we have reached them, and of course, our ultimate goal is when we shall have done all of this, they will be able to reach heaven and be part of those who will be saved. God bless and have a nice day.